Yes, I'm doing it again. You're watching something on the screen that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But you know what? If your little child comes behind you and say, "What are you doing?" and you show them the birds and the squirrels, then perhaps I've done my job, because I would love to have children get more interested in nature and our ecology. I really, really would. So, of course, this bird video is a diversion. I just didn't want to just use a blank screen. Okay, be nice now. To say that a blank screen would be better is not being nice. Just kidding. I have a Facebook page, as you know. Just Google Facebook Microdac, and it should be close to the top. On this page, my friends and I pride ourselves on tackling some of the subjects that many people run away from. But we do it with vigor and sincerity in finding solutions. For example, recently there was an article about a little girl having a baby, and the comments were fast and furious. Now, this has happened before, and trust me, it will happen again and again and again. One viewer's solution is to find the man and kill him. There were a lot of anti-man comments. What if it turned out that the father was just 9 years old? Should we find him and kill him? One woman mentioned that women were victimized by men, and the problem, therefore, was men. She even cited that in some parts of Africa, women were circumcised. I saw that special too, and what I saw was a brutalizing act being performed by women on other women. I'm stupid because, as a man, I just don't get it. Why would a woman do that to another woman? Why? If 50% of the population are women, don't they have a voice? Why do they continue to do this? Oh well. I've also read, though not on my page, one woman who gave her reasons why she preferred to be intimate with other women. Because men were dogs. I translated that to be her justification for her sexual preference. That's all. As far as I'm concerned, some women are just like me. We love women. I even read a comment by a man on one of the anti-men articles that the basic problem between men and women was nature. Nature created men with urges and desires for women. Else, why would we procreate? Men just have a great and natural desires for women, for what they have and what they offer. It's nature. And women, through the ages, have devised so many different payment systems, knowing the value of their attributes. This is his point of view. And he went on, is marriage an acceptable system devised by our culture? And if so, what about the marriages that are simply wrong? Old men marrying children as culturally acceptable. Well, that does happen in some cultures, and it is acceptable. So far, it all has to do with that one word that I have not mentioned. It is the initial act of life itself. It should be beautiful and natural and shared equally between adults. It should be the most exquisite and intimate form of sharing between adults. Unfortunately, that one word has become the most marketed service on earth, with, I think, women and men being used as sheep, as twisted views are used to commercialize what ought to be natural and beautiful. Name one place on earth where the act itself is recognized for what it is between adults, without having a price tag, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. If there ever was such a place, it has since been shut down by the clergy and branded as being dirty, filthy, disgusting, by messengers of none other than God himself. So, since nature abhors a vacuum, it has been reduced and made proper by commercial enterprises. You know the word I'm talking about. Women brutalizing other women as being culturally proper while blaming men for their woes. Women being made into objects as government give license to commercial enterprises to do so. Women withholding what should be natural and beautiful, as I said before, until payment, subtle and legal to be sure, is agreed upon. And as for men, we all know men brutalizing women as acts of power. Men in the corporate world buying the favors of women with promises of promotion. It happens every single day. Men, unscrupulous and perverted, buying little girls for cash. Men in authority making laws to suppress women in literature, in domestic affairs, in business, and in life itself. Is it any wonder that that one word that I have not mentioned, has become perverted, and those who bought into the perversion is just as guilty as the perverted for allowing it to happen? So, I think the problem of children having children is far greater than women spouting well-worn anti-men rhetoric. Are there solutions? Of course. You know what they are, and I know what they are, but no one is listening. For starters, stop giving the clergy powers to belittle women and cubbyhole them as properties, as the wishes of God. It is long time we stop thinking of women as properties and start thinking of them as our equal. See these vultures for what they are and stop supporting them, no matter what the political consequences are. Find other ways to get votes, politicians. Start educating children as human beings with self-worth and values. Teach respect for men and teach respect for women. Stop stigmatizing that which is good, beautiful, and natural, and allow these children to grow up, to become good adults, to make decisions that only adults should make. Stop educating with employment being the primary goal, and start educating to support their humanity. I think that women should encourage other women to stop exploiting their daughters by dressing them in provocative ways to entice men. To say that little girls can dress half naked if they want to, and it is a man's fault to react, is a bit naive, don't you think? Don't make it illegal for little girls to dress half naked. That will only invite the government into your bedroom where they don't belong. I say go back to education. Educate these little girls about self-worth and self-respect. Speaking of governments, they too should develop some ethics, standards that are in keeping with decency and humanity. Going into countries to exploit their resources while encouraging their abuse of women and children is wrong. Oh well, I feel that we both know what we should do, but this is a commercialized world. And unfortunately, having women be like sheep and extol their hatred for men is far easier than doing what is right. As far as women are concerned, in certain circles there will always be honor and hatred of men and support of such beliefs. As for men, as long as there is money to be made in commercializing what should be free and natural, things will remain the same. There is money to be made in convincing others of turning what should be beautiful into something that is dirty, ugly, and disgusting. Besides, power is intoxicating. So what should be associated with love is used as a symbol for the love of power over women. You know what? This is my 2 cents worth, and you should think for yourself. Offer your own solutions. Just don't use that old anti-men rhetoric every time a little girl gets pregnant. It's far more complex than that. Don't you think? I just now heard the news. I am very saddened by it, really. There has been another shooting, and who knows, maybe even today. As you watch this video, this day that you're viewing this, maybe there's been another shooting again. Someone feels so alienated and despondent that taking lives seems to be the only solution. Someone feeling so alone and disconnected that ending one's life seems to be the only answer. There is a disconnect among us all, and it is very good for business, but it is not good for people. The news business is booming. What exciting and stimulating stories to tell. It is not enough that we encourage our children to sit in front of the TV for hours, enjoying the adrenaline rush of killing hundreds with the latest weapons. It's only a game. No one really gets hurt in a game. But being desensitized to guts and mayhem is not just a game. Is it possible to step away from the game long enough to discuss the deforestation of countries and the possible consequences? Too boring. Is it warranted to interrupt the game seeking solutions to starvation of little children? Well, it's not my problem. Would it be wise to interfere with the game to be educated on the wildlife in the Galapagos? Be serious. If we have become so entrenched in our own cocoon that knowing our immediate neighbor is an alien idea, we celebrate our separation. Our sense of separation is in keeping with our theme, don't trust strangers. The less we do, the more isolated we are, and the more isolated we are, the better it is for that box in your living room. It has become our neighbors, our social circle, and our educator. Marketing has us by our cojones, and we don't mind. Living outside ourselves is what we have been trained to do. We know nothing of ourselves and everything about the latest products and television game. The irony of it all is that we now live in the age of massive proliferation of knowledge, easy access to anything that's knowable, and being bombarded by information, excellent information in fact, and we still bind to hate and prejudices as cultural norms. That sense of fear and hate is armor, protection from our own countrymen. Why is the blonde hair so appealing, and why coloring to fit that mold is what women do, no matter what? Wouldn't it have been better if we were educated to be satisfied with who and what we are, to take delight in being natural? Why is being skinny so attractive, and to whom? And why in a land of plenty so many people starve? Why is one nationality a subject of debate when our very own citizens are educated in just one amendment, or right to bear arms? Against whom? Am I the only one that finds it so strange that citizens here go out of their way to pledge their ties to a continent that their parents have never seen, that their grandparents have never seen, that their great-great-grandparents never knew? Am I the only one who see it as being odd that in the 21st century there are people who still cling to a continent that is made up of many countries? Each country there are many counties and parishes, and in each parish there are many cities, and in each county there are many tribes. Yet thousands of miles away there are people who identify themselves not with their own country, but to a continent, all because of skin color. I find that very strange. That sense of separation, brought on by marketing, celebrated by the ignorant, pretending to have historical connection to a time long gone and to people who could care less. I, for one, am tired of it, tired of the financial aspects of hate brought on via pseudo-pride in color. I, for one, feel and pledge allegiance to a country that gave me a sense of belonging and pride in the generosity of the people. I prefer to strengthen the principles that country was founded upon by being vigilant of the abuses against those principles. I write what I write, and I voice my concerns that we will not lose our way in injustice and hate. I'm not a color, I'm a citizen. I'm a citizen who, like most citizens here, have a heritage based in another country. The country of my heritage is in the Western Hemisphere. It is 150 miles long and 50 miles wide, and it is not the continent of Africa. I refuse to embrace that sense of separation, and I refuse to take pride in a continent thousands of miles away and many years in the past. Do I not feel for that continent? Of course I do. Just as I feel for starving children here. Just as I feel for the abused child here. Just as I feel for an innocent man or woman incarcerated here. Just as I feel for victims of poverty here. Just as I feel for the inequities placed on the poor as the very rich are coddled. We have lost our way as we encourage and celebrate our sense of separation. We have caused mayhem and destruction of human values for the sake of fear and joy in the waste of resources. Here we are in a land of plenty, yet we are made to believe that we don't have enough. We don't repair anything anymore, because we have brought into the idea that fashion is better than form. We don't even acknowledge each other anymore, since we have been bombarded with the negative aspects of each other through the practice of being divisive. We're taught that self-stimulation is disgusting, as we are encouraged to be stimulated with drugs and alcohol. We no longer go inside of ourselves for answers, not when we can find it on the evening news. Being one with each other is such an alien concept that to even say such a thing is cause for alarm. We have bought into the so-called sanity of separation, and the so-called joy of isolating ourselves from the outside world. We have become zombies as we sit and watch, sit and wait, sit and be told, and sit and be spoon-fed by that mighty tube called the television. Everything we know of the world comes from TV and nothing from interaction with real people. Love for one another is not cool, not when everyone has his or her own adjective to worship. Give someone a hug is cause for arrest for sexual assault. Really caring for someone else is open the door to being taken advantage of. We have agencies for that sort of stuff. Hungry people? Well, let them go out and work and pay taxes as you do. After all, that is the way those people are. They are all welfare frauds. How do you know that? A politician on TV said so. Love for one another is just not cool. So, what do we have? In the end, the result is isolation. With isolation comes bitterness and loneliness. With loneliness comes the idea that nothing has value anymore. With that sense of is that all there is, we have become numb as human beings to human touches and interaction. What else is there to do but to do what many are doing today? Have you seen the news today?